Looking at the review of last week, it's hard enough to lose it on Saturday, but then to have to come back in and relive it and watch every play on Sunday, watch it all, to grade it all, then watch it all with your staff, then watch it all with your team. I've now seen the game about 5 times, and the more you see it, the more frustrating it becomes. And it's frustrating in so many areas, but one of the things that makes it hard is it's hard to lose because we've made so many strides and we improved in so many areas as a football team from last week to this week. And I'm really proud of the way this team worked. But the thing that makes it so hard is the result is still the same in losing a football game. But I was really proud of the way the football team played. When I talk about improvements, I thought there were an awful lot of things to build on in that football game. I thought the offensive line, it was the best game we've played so far this year with the offensive line, and some of those moves and rolling more guys than we had played in the past certainly paid off. I thought our defensive line played very well. We talked about one of the keys to giving ourselves a chance to win was controlling the line of scrimmage, and I felt like we did that with our offensive and defensive line. I thought they both played really well up front. I thought our third down, especially offensively, was the best we've had so far this year at 47%. We had 29 first downs as an offense. I felt like we executed much better than we had the last couple weeks. And when you look at it defensively, you give up 13 points. You gave up 117 yards rushing. You created 2 turnovers. You had 2 positive field positions. You had 2 fourth down stops. There were so many positive things that happened in this game on offense and defense that it's just frustrating to lose it. And when you look at, I thought our cover teams, I thought the punt team was outstanding, putting Kansas inside the 10-yard line 4 different times during that game from our punting. I thought the cover teams, the kickoff team had 1 kick to cover, and they had a T20, what we call it, a tackle inside the 20-yard line at the 17-yard line. Just a lot of things to build on and a lot of things that were encouraging. But there certainly isn't a moral victory. We weren't going up there just to try and play it close, but I was proud of the improvements that we've made as a football team as we talk about a work in progress, but I'm encouraged with what I saw. Some things, obviously the elephant in the room with the loss goes 3 turnovers. 3 turnovers, 2 of them, well, 1 of them down inside the 5, and then 1 of them going into the end zone. And things like that costs you 14 points, and all of a sudden a game like that, without changing anything else, it's 24-10 if you can just hold on to the football. And so that's probably the glaring thing in the room, the lack of productivity in the red zone. Offensively, we got down inside the 20-yard line 4 times. We came away with 1 score. We were down there. I thought the throw, pass, completion, execution to Hunter Lee in the corner of the end zone was a beautiful play, some great individual efforts. But to get down there, to fumble twice inside the 10, inside the 5, and then to miss a field goal inside the 20 are things that you can't do if you want to go win on the road against a Big 12 team. And I think those are the glaring things that we gave ourselves a chance to win with a lot of the positive things we did, but we weren't able to finish it with some of the mistakes that we made. I give Kansas an awful lot of credit. I know they've been through a hard streak, and I know Coach Weiss and Coach Tim Grunhart, their offensive line coach, and Ron Paulus, their quarterback coach. Both are Notre Dame grads, and you know what? I mean, I know that they've done a good job of keeping that team together through some hard times. It's just unfortunate it had to end against us with a couple fumbles and a 52-yard field goal with no time on the clock. I talked about some guys that really played well for us. I think on the offensive line, really proud of the way those guys played. We rolled 7 to 8 guys constantly in that game. We played most of the offensive linemen played about 34 or 40 plays apiece rather than a bunch of guys playing 70 plays. And I think that competition and that rest, I think both really kind of helped these guys come together as an offensive line a little bit, and I thought they did a great job. The running backs, I mean, obviously Kenneth Dixon is back. He's full speed. He ran incredibly hard. It's a shame that nobody feels worse than he does about that fumble. But it's still not something that we can tolerate. And the same thing I would say about Ryan Higgins. I thought he went in there, he competed for a freshman to get his first start. at Kansas. I thought he went in there. He showed poise. I thought he made some good decisions. He threw the ball well, did some good things, added some plays with his feet. It's the same thing. It's unfortunate, but you got to hold on to the football. There's nothing more important than that ball. And in a situation like that, we've got to put two hands on it. With time running down and with Ryan Higgins, it's like, put the ball in the outside arm and get out at the one. It's still our ball. We've never taught a player to reach. We've never taught a player to try and put that ball out inside the pylon. I've said it before, it's just too important. And the negatives that can happen when you take it away from your body are not worth the positive thing. I'd like to get 4 more downs from the one to see if we can get it in rather than holding that ball out. But it's unfortunate because I thought those two guys played 2 of the best games for us as an offense. It's just unfortunate that they were the 2 that made the mistakes down the end and turning the ball over. Wide receivers, same thing as the offensive line. Played a lot of guys rolled, a lot of guys caught passes. I thought we played steady, but we've got to create more big plays in the passing game with our wide receivers. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think those 6 or 7 guys up front played a really good game for us up front. I think Daniel Cobb is active as ever. I think he had 8 or 10 tackles in this game, which I think this is a couple games in a row. He's hitting the double-digit mark, very active. I think, they tried to do a little bit more running the ball. I think we got to get a little bit more disciplined in some of the things that we're doing at the linebacker position with our eye control and making sure we're fitting in our gaps. But I think Daniel is extremely active. I thought both feet did a really nice job. He went in there and played a significant amount of plays and did a good job. But Darius Barnes and Levander Liggins continue to grow up. They get better and better every week. The better that they get, more comfortable they get, the more we can be more aggressive as a defensive football team. And then at the safety position, I thought that Grogan played very well up inside. I think Thomas McDonald showed up for a guy to step in there and make the interception that he did, and he's a guy that we probably need to get a couple more plays to. But overall, I thought we had some guys that played really well. If you could change a play, you know what, it's a different outcome. Unfortunately, we can't. What we've got to do is we learn from it, and sometimes it feels like somebody threw a spear through your chest when you lose a game like that, and I know a lot of the players hurt. I know that they've worked extremely hard to win, but as we've talked about, we're 1/3 of the way through the season at this point. We've got 2/3 left, and if we can learn from some of the lessons and some of the mistakes we've made in the first half, then we've got a chance to still have a very successful and productive year, even with the start at 1-3 with where we are right now. Don't have time to feel sorry for ourselves or have a pity party. It's time to pick yourself back up, roll your sleeves up, get competitive. As I told them, if we don't like where we are, let's change it. If we don't like the results we're getting, then let's change it. Let's do something about it. Let's get competitive. Let's roll our sleeves up. Let's get in here. Let's watch film. Let's correct some of the mistakes that we made last week, and let's improve as a football team. We've got Army this week. I'll say a couple things about this game. I love having the opportunity to play in the Cotton Bowl. I've had the opportunity to be there a couple times with all the great history in the Cotton Bowl, the tradition that's there, being the state fair weekend and kind of the circus that goes around it. I'm really excited with all the history in that stadium to be able to play there. Also for the fan base that we have in Dallas that gets in that car and drives that 4-hour track 5 to 6 times a year to come support our program here in Ruston. We're going to have an opportunity to go to them and play in their own backyard. And obviously with the wealth of talent that is in Dallas and the recruiting that we do in Dallas, this is a huge asset for us to have the opportunity to go over there for our fan base, to play in the Cotton Bowl, and also in front of a lot of the recruits over there in the Dallas area. So we're excited about that. Looking at the game itself, Army poses a lot of challenges for you. As everybody knows, with the service academies comes the triple option, which means defensively, you've got to play very vanilla. You've got to play assignment football, and the way that you learn to play it is you have your scout team run their offense, and you don't play with a football. And somebody's got to tackle the dive, somebody's got to tackle the quarterback, and somebody's got to tackle the pitch on every play. And so it's not following the ball, running to the ball. It goes against everything that you kind of teach defensively. You've got to play assignment-oriented football. Santiago, their quarterback's the one that makes it go. He does a great job. He's very talented with the offense that they run. I think he does a great job. They've got a running back. Their two top running backs didn't play last week. I don't know if they'll be back for our game or not, but the third tailback goes in and rushes for 125 yards against Wake Forest last week. They're a top 10 rushing offense. They're going to rush for 300 yards a game. I don't want to say you're giving that up going into it, but they're going to pound that rock. And with all the different blocking schemes, and as well as Coach Ellerby knows this, Ellerson knows this offense. I think it's just a matter of time before they're going to hit one, before they're going to split a seam. And we've just got to play great assignment, sound football as we get into this game. Defensively, their nose guard, number 98, is a player. He's big, he's physical. He covers up your center most of the time, kind of like what we saw last week. And then their free safety is very active. Outside of those two, they play about 3 deep. They roll numbers. You're not going to tempo this group. You're not going to out-condition this group. You're not going to wear them out because they do. They run a lot of people at you and play a lot of different people. And I think one of the things that they give you problems with is you never know where they are. You look at them every week, and they go from playing a split 6 to a 4-3 to a double eagle to they give you an awful lot of different looks, and I think they really make you simplify as an offense. So it'll be a great challenge for us, but I think as a football team, I think we'll respond off the loss last week. Like I said, I hope it hurts bad enough that we're willing to make some changes, that we're willing to do some things we have to do to be the type of football team we want to be. So we're looking forward to the opportunity this weekend.
Coach, Kyle Fisher has done a good job kicking the ball off, missed 4 straight field goals between 2 games. Has there been any movement to maybe play the kicker you signed in the fall or last February against Jonathan Barnes?
Well, Kyle started out really strong. I mean, we talked about kind of it being a neck-and-neck horse race going through camp, and Kyle edged him out there in the last week, and so he got the nod early. He did not kick very well last week and started off in the first half 0 for 2. I don't know what the problems were. I mean, whether it's the hold, his mindset, where it is. We changed holders in the third quarter. He put it through the upright. The reason that I'm very hesitant to make the change at this point, if Kyle Fisher is going to be our field goal kicker, then I was going to redshirt Jonathan Barnes. But if it gets to the point where Kyle cannot be productive enough for us to win football games, then we're going to have to make a change.
And last week offensively, did you have any idea at practice? Do you ever have any idea that this offense would take that huge step forward?
You know, felt like we did. Just was really excited about the week of practice. And I know Coach Peterson was really excited. Coach Rattay talked about it. Coach Sloan talked about it. I think all the coaches were really excited. I think Ryan brought a great energy, brought an enthusiasm, brought kind of a sense of urgency to the table along with his talents. Thursday was the best practice we had the entire year. I know kind of as coaches it makes you feel a lot better when you go out there on Thursday and only had to repeat one play one time. Everybody was in it, the offensive line, the quarterback, the way we were throwing and catching it. We felt like we had, if we were going to play like we practiced, we felt like we had the opportunity to really play well as an offense, and it proved to be true. I thought Ryan did a nice job. I think he brought a lot to the table, but sometimes when you have a young quarterback that has to step in, all the offensive linemen say, you know what, we got to pick it up. We talk about if somebody were to get hurt, you can't ask one guy to pick up all that productivity. Everybody's got to pick up about 10% of it. And if everybody picks up 10% of it, that's how we were going to carry it. And that was the approach we took and the mindset we had. And I thought they kind of rallied around Ryan being a freshman quarterback and going on that scene. And I thought he embraced it and thought he did a really nice job.
To follow that up, has Ryan solidified the starting position, or will they, with Scotty coming back, will there be another battle?
Well, we'll have to look at it this week, but certainly Ryan has kind of put himself in there. Scotty's coming back off his rib injuries, was able to play a little bit, practiced a little bit Tuesday and just a little bit more Wednesday, but just felt like Ryan had a good week and needed to go with him, and there was no reason to risk that. And so we'll look at that again this week, and we'll make that decision. But right now, I think Ryan has definitely put himself in the ball game and put himself in that driver's seat right now with the way that he played last week.
When will you make that decision later in the week? And like, do you have like a certain day to say, okay, by Thursday we need to know? What's that process like for you?
No, I'd like to know more Tuesday. I mean, I'd like to know Tuesday as we go out to the field, kind of what we're going to do. I think it's hard. Even I try and say that quarterback's like every other, but it's not. I mean, it's a leadership position. And you'd like to have the guy that's going to be taking the bulk of your game reps as the guy that's taking the bulk of your reps at practice, the guy that's running with the ones and building that chemistry with what you're trying to do.
You said, Scotty was probable last Monday.
Mhm.
So when did you make the decision to go with Ryan? And two, was it a matter of Scotty was hurt, so we're going to play Ryan, or
Early in the
Ryan's doing better, so we're going to play him over?
combination of both, because early in the week I said he's probable because they felt like by Saturday he's going to be good. But with Ryan taking the bulk of the reps, Ryan was cleared to play Saturday. He was cleared to play. Had something happened, Ryan could have gone in and played, Scotty could have gone in and played, but with Ryan getting the bulk of the work during the week because of Scotty's injury early, and Ryan, I thought, responded well to it and did some good things in practice, and that's why we made the decision that we did.
Preach turnovers, though. With Ryan kind of struggled with the turnovers in spring and fall. He had two again. So how do you factor that into your decision on starting quarterback? Because obviously Scotty has kind of been good with the turnovers.
He's been great with them. I think it's hard to put the interception on Ryan when he throws the ball and it hits a receiver in the sternum and bounces up in the air and then gets picked off. I think that's kind of hard to put, that on the quarterback. And the same thing a week ago out here at Tulane when he drops back and hits his third step and gets hit in the ear hole and fumbles. I think those are hard turnovers to put on the quarterback. And I think really throwing the ball, he's done a nice job. In the first turnover for this fall that I'm giving to him is the one that he had the fumble on. The others are breakdowns, whether it be in protection and routes or someone dropping a pass or something like that. But it's probably the dilemma that we have right now. When you look at Ryan, he's bringing an awful lot to the table as a young, energetic, emotional, fiery quarterback. But the turnovers, then that's why we went with Scotty from the very beginning, was because of the great job that he did protecting the ball. But if we can get Ryan to eliminate turnovers, if we can get Scotty to continue to progress and develop as a leader in the offense, then I think it's going to be a heck of a battle, and we're going to have two to choose from.
As a coach, how do you navigate through the emotional ups and downs of your team? Because people like Kenneth are hearing you, but obviously you had the fumble at the same time. So what do you tell someone like him and other players of the team to say, okay, here's what you're doing well for us, but here's what we need you to fix?
Well, we talked about last night just we have a Victors Club that you have to play at a certain level and grade a certain level to get in the Victors Club. But we also have a rule that if you have a turnover, you can't get in it. And Kenneth and Ryan, who played two great games for us, but they turned the ball over. And it doesn't matter how well you play, if you turn the ball over, it's a well-known statistic that is the most important stat in winning and losing football games is turnovers. And we've got to coach it, we got to eliminate it, we got to do whatever we can to eliminate it. And I said, I know nobody feels worse. Those two feel worse than anybody else about those two turnovers. But it remains the fact that we cannot turn the ball over and still win. And I would rather them run with two hands on the ball and gain 4 yards and fall down than I would have them run for 15 and turn it over at the end of the run. And so I think you have to praise them for what they did. You certainly can't ignore that. And as I told both of them, they didn't lose the game for us, but they both had an opportunity to win it with the ball in their hands, and we weren't able to get it done.
What kind of discussions did you have before Kenneth's fumble? I mean, did you tell the guys, all right, don't try to, like you just said, don't try to get 10 yards. Get what you get, go down, so you don't have to worry about that?
Well, the guy I was worried about was the freshman quarterback. And so I went over and talked to him, and I said, look, we've got 3 points on the board. So right now, whatever you do, if it's not there, throw it in the back of the end zone, throw it away. We've got a field goal. We're taking the approach that the 3 points are on the board. No, I didn't grab Ryan and then go over and I didn't say that to the tailback. But I did go grab the quarterback and cover all those scenarios because you don't know, you're going to run the ball and then maybe you're going to throw a screen. Something breaks down, just second row. I mean, it doesn't need to be 6. But whether or not Coach Jaluk said that to Kenneth, I can't answer that.
Coach, when it comes to Army, the toughest thing with that triple option is being able to emulate that thing during the course of practice. Do you have a scout squad group that can give you some great looks?
I definitely think we have a scout squad quarterback. When you look at Michael Mims and Paul Turner, both from West Monroe that are down on that scout team right now, I think both of those guys can do a great job of simulating the quarterback. Can we do it with the offensive line and the way they're going to fire out and cut into your legs, the quickness, as it goes against everything that a passing team teaches. The passing team is trying to get away from the line of scrimmage as far as they can and still have their head cross the belt of the center. Army's trying to do everything they can to get their head even with the football. I mean, their rear end's up, their weight's on their hands, they're coming out low and hard, where a passing team, his weight is back, their head is back, and they're kind of trying to go the other way. So it's going to be hard to simulate that from an offensive line standpoint. But I think we have some athletes that can go up there that have run some of this offense in the past that will be able to do a little bit of it. We even, last night, we normally don't break into scout teams, but last night for our practice out on the field, we broke into scout teams so we can get as much as we can. And for meetings tomorrow, we will have position meetings, but we will have a scout team position meeting and watch their film and the plays that they're going to go out and execute on the field. So we'll do everything we can, but it always takes a series or two to understand the speed that all's coming at you and the way that the offensive line are coming off the ball.
Coach, before this past week, a lot of pressure was coming up the middle against your offensive line. What improved? I mean, of course, you moved Trey Carter to the starting left guard position, but was it just a mindset for that group, or what changed it?
Well, I think Kano played a lot better. We've had all the pre-snap penalties, and we have tried a number of different things, from the quarterback calling the cadence to the guard tapping the center to get the cadence to the center calling the cadence. We're doing whatever we can. Kano was a D lineman a year ago, and now he's your starting center, and we're trying to work out some of these bugs and find out not what we want to do, but what they feel most comfortable doing. And so we did some things that obviously Kano was very comfortable with, and kind of put some of the cadence in his hands and some of the things, and I thought he responded and played very well. We probably challenged him more than anything. I know that Matt Shepard and Kano and Graffrey are guys that have not been grading a winner or getting in our Victors Club, but I thought they're all seniors, they're all competitive. I think moving Mitchell Bell up to start instead of Jeremy Graffrey, Jeremy responded with 40 plays in the game with his best performance so far this year. And the same thing happened with Jens Danielson on the left tackle. By playing Darryl Brown an awful lot, Jens Danielson turned in his best game of the year. So I think it was a combination of some of the moves, some of the competition, and some of the competitive nature of the offensive line. And it's a proud group, and they want to be good.
And last year, Tech, of course, the center called the cadence last season. Is that something y'all are going to continue doing from here on out?
Yeah, we'll continue doing it. We did it earlier as well. I mean, we did it earlier, but there's also some problems with that without getting into all the details of it. But there's some problems with the center calling it. And when we went to a freshman quarterback, we said maybe we ought to put a little bit more pressure on the senior offensive lineman rather than the freshman quarterback. So we've tried to look at a couple different things, but we started it that way. And in the opening game of the year, we did it that way and still had 5 penalties. But I think everybody's starting to get a little bit more comfortable. And I've said if we went out at practice and jumped off sides 10 times and then did it in the game 5 times, I understand it. But when you don't jump off sides on the whole week of practice, and then why we go do it on Saturday, I don't know. That's why, as a coach, that's where you talk about some of the youth and inexperience and getting wide-eyed on game day. So it's been great to get these 4 games under our belt, and hopefully everybody's settling down a little bit and understanding that just to go execute on game day rather than make it something that's special.
And since Kano is a senior, have y'all put some pressure on him before last week to say, hey, it's really important that you do step up and play better?
Well, we've put pressure on the entire O-line because our O-line did not play very well in the first 3 games of the year, really. They did not play very well. Thought they played okay at Lamar, but this is far and away the best game of the year. And we've kind of lit a fire under all of them about if we want to get to where we want to be and we want to be as productive as we need to be as an offense, we've got to have an offensive line to be able to do it. And we challenged all of them. Kano, Shepard, Graffrey Bell, Trey Carter, Banks, we challenged all of them this week, and they really responded.
Kansas played some soft coverage, Kansas defense. Going into the game, did you know that they were going to do that, or was that just adjustment that you wanted to throw short stuff because they were giving you that, or did you plan on trying to do that with Ryan going in?
No, we went in and said we were going to make them spread out and cover us down. We were going to make them spread out, and that's where so many of the bubble throws came from. And so it was, a lot of it was a read so that when they were loading the box, we were throwing the bubbles, and when they went out and covered them, we were handing the ball off. And we felt like if we could get a hat on a hat and get a running game going, that's where we challenged the offensive line and Kenneth Dixon to get past the first wave of defense, and I thought they did a great job with it. So it was designed, but it wasn't as much a call as it was a read predicated on what they did.
Question about the red zone offense, 103rd in the country, minus the turnovers, the two that obviously took points off the board with Ryan and Ken's fumble, but how do you improve the?
And the one at NC State and the 2 field goals.
Yeah,
I mean,
but besides that, how do you, because you've had some opportunities where you missed field goals.
No, but I'm saying if you add those 5 being this many games into the year, you're talking about probably 25 or 30% of our red zone trips have been turnovers or missed field goals at this point. And that's where you get to 103rd. I mean, we turned the ball over at NC State down there. We turned it twice over down here. And we've missed, is it 2 field goals now inside the red zone? I'm not sure what that number is, what's been in the red zone. But I think those are our biggest red zone woes right now. I think if those numbers changed, I mean, if we hold on to the ball, I don't think we're talking about being 103rd.
And piggybacking off of that, how frustrating, or is it slightly encouraging? You seem to have outplayed nearly every team that you've played this year, but in the end, it's the same script: turnovers in the red zone, missed field goals. Is it encouraging, or just discouraging, frustration, or a little bit of mix of everything?
Probably a little bit of mix of everything. You feel a little bit like you're putting your finger in holes in the dike, you know, I mean, and you're running out of hands and feet right now, you know, to plug some of the holes. But, I mean, we've got to keep coaching against it. We got to keep talking about it. We got to keep watching the films on it, and we've got to get there. There's some areas that we've improved as a football team, but certainly putting points on the board has not been our forte to this point.
Coach,
No.
can you just discuss real quick what Kim Dameron's done with the defense, especially as they face fourth down this year?
As they faced what, I'm sorry?
Fourth down situations.
You know, we had 2 fourth down stops, and I think one of the things that Kim's done a great job of with the defense is just being able to do so many different things and being able to play zone or play man, and we've been much more aggressive. After the opening game at NC State, we started disguising things a lot more so people weren't able to read when we were in zone and when we were in man. And I think the defense has done a great job of grasping a new system. Some guys have really developed. We talked about Daniel Cobb and Mitch Villamez and Bo Feet and the way they've come at linebacker. We've talked about Bryce and Grogan and McDonald and Pinson at safety and the way they've come along, and then the way the 2 young corners have matured. So I think it's a combination of what he's done schematically to give them an opportunity or a chance, but I also think it's the way that they have developed and grown as individuals that has made our defense much better to where it is today. As far as the fourth down stops, I mean, they went for it twice, and both times, I mean, talked about the strength of this defense right now is the 4 defensive linemen. And when you start looking at the weight of Jelly inside and the way IK is playing right now, rushing the quarterback, and he is just being a force. And so I think when they made the decision to run it twice, I mean, that's kind of playing into our strength as a football team. I'm glad they did that and didn't throw it. I mean, because we're better against the run than we are against the pass. And I thought we had one of our better defensive performances Saturday.
Coach, given the strength of your team is stopping the run on defense, and that's what Army's going to want to do.
Yes.
Is run the ball. Does that make you feel better at all?
No, it doesn't, because of the way they run it. I mean, because it's not about running to the ball. It's not about hunting in packs. It's not about just plugging a gap. It's about tackling the dive, the quarterback, and the pitch, and they spread you out. And they make you play from sideline to sideline. They don't allow you to hunt in packs. They don't allow a Jelly and an IK and a Daniel Cobb all to converge on the dive or where the ball is going. And so that's, from that standpoint, that's what's scary, because as soon as you put two people on one guy, the ball gets spitted out, and all of a sudden it's running around the edge.
Because their offensive line will try to cut the
Mm-hmm.
defensive line, do you think maybe y'all can have a three down front a good bit of the time and get more speed on the field?
Well, I think whatever you do, you have to be simple with it, because every defense you put in, you got to stop the dive, you got to stop the pitch, you got to stop the hand sweep, you got to stop the counter play, so every defense you put in, you've got to make sure that you see all the plays against it. And so you really don't go into this one complicated. You go into this one very simple, whether that's playing with, covering the A gaps and then 2-5 techniques and playing 4 down, or whether that's playing with 3 down and giving everybody responsibilities. But you're limited. You can't blitz it. You can't, there's a lot of things you can't do to it, because they're going to have a lot of answers for everything you're trying to do. And like I said, I know Coach Ellerson's been running this offense for a long time, and he knows it really well. So whatever we do, we're just going to have to make sure that we're simple enough to go execute it.
Hey, Skip, I have a 2-point question.
Okay.
You obviously, I'm sure in your career, have coached games where it came down literally to the last play of the game.
Mhm.
I think it was the last 2 or 3 years where this team has been in that situation. So it's going to be important for them to forget that. Did you feel like they were coming out of the fog last night, or will you know more today? And then also follow up on that. Obviously, conference play begins next week.
Yes.
It's kind of a turning point game.
It is, and I think that's one of the reasons that I like to meet with them on Sunday, is whether you win or lose, to be able to put it to bed, put it to rest, and move on for next week. Today is the players' day off. It's an academic day for them on Monday. We've got a lot of tests coming up this week. I mean, this week in the quarter system is a heavy test week for a lot of our players. So academically, I told them to kind of get away from here today, get your feet on the ground academically, put some time into it with all the tests coming in, and come back here Tuesday ready to go. But that's one of the things I like about Sunday night, is being able to watch the film, put it to bed, let them see their mistakes. And now it's all Army as we go forward from here. It is conference coming up, which we're excited about. We talked about last night. After this game, we've got 7 conference games left, and I think we're all excited to get to that point, because that's really, when you look at all these non-conference games, that's really the thing that they're giving you a chance to do, is gain some experience as you get ready for conference play. I would have loved to have flipped the tides with Tulane and Kansas. I would have loved to play Kansas and then Tulane. I'd always like to play my 4 non-conference first, let some of the young guys make mistakes and get in there and start to find, as a football team, where we're going to be strong and what we really need to hide moving forward. So excited to get into conference play after this week, but right now we got to focus on Army and what we're going to get with the wishbone and everything that brings right now.